Welcome back to Core Setting. New Trek is on the horizon, and you know what that means. We're dusting off Core Setting, now powered by Trek Live. Everything's going to be, I'll let Bill explain it, but everything's going to be on centralized on the Trek Live kind of channels. But first off, how you doing this evening, Bill?
Doing well. Excited to talk about new Star Trek again. And yeah, exciting times.
Explain Core Setting real quick.
So core setting,
What's happening? Where's Trek Live?
yeah, we've been doing core setting since Picard premiered. It's had a couple of different homes. It's had its own YouTube channel. It kind of primarily lived on Periscope / Twitter Live for a while too. So we're kind of transitioning it just to the Trek Live feeds, the YouTube channel, potentially our podcast feed as well. It's just going to be kind of a part of the Trek Live channel, and like Dan said, powered by Trek Live. It's going to be for this go around. It's going to be a non-live, pre-recorded kind of reaction to the latest new episode of whatever iteration of Star Trek is currently running, and in this case, it's Star Trek Lower Decks. So we're not going to spend a great deal of time. We're not going to go into a ton of detail. We're not looking for every possible Easter egg. I mean, there are a lot of good videos out there.
With other places you can go.
Yeah, we're not going to do that. We're not trying to compete with anybody who produces that kind of content. We're just looking to share our kind of quick reactions. I think our rule that we talked about was we're not going to go any longer than the length of the episode. So in the Lower Decks case, we're sticking to that like 25, 20-minute runtime. It's going to be quick.
With Discovery, hopefully there'll be some 45-minute discussions where we can also do a relatively deep dive into the episode. But yeah, for Lower Decks, we're going to try to keep it to that 25-minute mark, I think.
Yeah, we're just going to give you our instant, quick, try to record it as soon after we watched it as we can, see how well we're able to maintain that. But we're just looking for a way to talk about it and share our thoughts out there, and to put out a little bit of extra content in these Trek-filled times we're now living in, hopefully for the next good little while.
Yeah, and if you're wondering, the main show Trek Live will still be hopefully every week. It's not gonna, Core Setting's not gonna take away the main show in any way, but we just wanted a spot. Again, this is kind of how Core Setting kind of came about. It's a dedicated spot to just talking about the new stuff and stuff that just happened, just came out today. So this is a very raw and fresh reaction, and I'm excited to jump into it. So
yeah, a little real quick behind the scenes kind of window into why we do this. For the first couple of seasons of Discovery, we would just talk about the new episode on that week's episode of Trek Live. So when Discovery was on in those 13 weeks, 14 weeks, or whatever, Trek Live episodes were basically recaps of the episode.
It wasn't a topic of the week. It was just recapping that episode.
Right. And as it became apparent that potentially we're going to be having these like long stretches of, a new episode a week, potentially a year of it now, some are theorizing, that, we don't want to just do that. We don't want our whole vibe to be recapping shows. So this is our way to do that, have a little outlet for us to work through our thoughts and share our experiences with the new stuff, but still be able to produce the Trek Live content that we enjoy so much, which is covering the vast, new, old, middle, all
everything.
Stuff. Yeah. Yep.
I think we should jump right into the episode.
Strange Energies.
Yeah.
Season 2, Episode 1, Lower Decks.
I think before we jump into it, though, I think there something to note, I guess, was it's always fun to recognize the buzz that's kind of Star Trek is drawing. The week before, it's they probably timed this perfectly because STLV is going on right now.
Yeah.
New Trek is on, so it's every little outlet. Trek Twitter, it's just
tons of
stuff, and then our Discord server, that is just really busy as well. So it's just a great time.
It is. It's been a lot of fun to follow along with the convention going on right now in real time, and obviously we have this new episode and this Lower Decks returning to the scene. So yeah, exciting times. What did you think of? You get right into it. I'm going to ask you first.
Yeah.
The season premiere of I keep trying to say Discovery because I think my
Not
brain
yet.
is brain.
Yeah. Yeah.
First episode of Lower Decks, season 2. How did you feel it came out of the gate?
I loved it. I think when you step away from a series, you don't realize how much you miss it until you go back. And I find that with a lot of different series, and I think that's a good mark of a good show. Is just it felt like in business there's like a soft opening. Like this kind of felt like a soft kind of just like they didn't do anything too big. Just really played into the strengths of the show of taking just a little small bite-sized story element and kind of expanding on it, but pumping in a good bit of humor. So just really did enjoy the episode for sure.
I was more mixed. I liked a lot of what you just said about. I found it unexpected in that it is kind of a. I don't want to say small, but it's kind of low key as a reeling us back in. It doesn't do some of the things I was expecting it to do, and maybe that is fueling some of that instant reaction for me. Like we see very little of Boimler on the Titan, which I thought was going to be sort of a story right out of the gate.
Okay.
And it's not like that's not an issue for me at all. But I appreciate that they went to some unexpected places and took a different approach than what I was thinking I was walking into today when I was getting ready to watch it. I also was reminded of why I like the show. I think the in references and the in jokes and the canon candy kind of stuff is all really cool. But I like the characters a lot. I like Mariner a lot. Rutherford and Tendi are great. The bridge crew are awesome. Like it did instantly remind me. It kind of got me back into the flow of I'm into this show because I find the characters to be appealing and fresh takes on the Star Trek universe and different kinds of yet familiar voices in this universe, and I'll give it credit for that for sure.
What didn't work? Because that's the question that I'm wondering. Did it not do enough?
No, I think I'll be honest and say I love Lower Decks. I'm really pleasantly surprised by it, but I can't. I know some folks out there will say that they think that it's their favorite of the new shows. I am not among them. I think there are times in the first season, and I think they do it here too, that it can go a little far for my personal taste in terms of the silliness, the humor. Like I think the first 8 minutes or so of it are great. I think Cold Open is awesome. Seeing Mariner continue to kind of use the holodeck to work through her stuff and to have a really. I love all the Deep Space Nine touches with the Cardassian
so good
production design in that program.
Yeah.
There's some great stuff in that, and I think even the coming out of the credits out of the Cold Open with the reveal of the mission, and they're down on the planet and they're trying to get these aliens to pick a code, like a subspace transmission code or whatever. That stuff's cool. I think the minute it becomes about Ransom changing into a godlike being, the longer that went, the more it grated on me a little bit, I think. But that's it. It's as with humor, we talked about this when Lower Decks started. I feel like humor is so incredibly subjective, and sometimes what might be hilarious for you might not totally work for me, and vice versa. And maybe this is a case of that. And I just didn't. I liked what it was forcing the characters to deal with. I liked that it was aiming a lesson and a reflection on the Mariner and Captain Freeman situation. Like, how have they grown over the last 3 months working together? What's working, what's not? How do they feel about it? The Ransom stuff does do a nice job of forcing those characters to deal with those things, and I appreciate that. But I found the mechanics of the ransom stuff itself to be a little silly. I love the Gary Mitchell references and things like that. Of course, like that's cool. Yeah. That definitely piqued my interest and was cool to see. But I think for me, Lower Decks can sometimes turn it up to a 10, where maybe my subjective comfort zone is more like a 7.5 with that brand.
Okay, that's totally fine. I actually enjoyed it. I'm not sure. I think my mindset going in, just to even Lower Decks in general, was I just had such a lower. This may sound bad, but I had such a lower expectation. Like I just came in so open minded because I was on the fence about this show,
very much so.
And I tried to just put all that aside, and I went into this season the same way. I had really low. I was just very chill and definitely. I don't know. I like that they just make fun of a character pretty much for the latter half of the 15 minutes of the episode.
Sure.
I like that. Yeah, and maybe it's because my standards. Maybe I have. Maybe I don't. I'm not sure. I just look at. For some reason, I just look at Lower Decks a little bit differently than other shows, and
sure.
Yes,
it's different.
Yeah, it is. It is completely different, and if I'm being honest, I don't really know how to put. I don't know where to put Lower Decks in Trek, because this is such a new kind of medium, even to kind of explore. So I'm much more forgiving in that aspect because, like I said, it is a new medium. This is a whole completely end of the spectrum. So I mean, and I find that I think you're totally right. I echo the sentiment that sometimes humor just doesn't land for people, and humor is one of those things where when it's cooking, and when it's not. So yeah, I think how I look at Lower Decks is a little bit different, and so I'm, I guess, more forgiving.
Yeah,
I had a great time. I think I tweeted this out, but new episode of Trek. There's preseason football on for my sports folks out there. There's new 9/9 out there. I just came in with like a warm, kind of fuzzy feeling on this Thursday. So maybe that went into it as well. That's something we could talk about too. But just your whole aura and your environment definitely play a part in
that's a huge difference.
How you perceive the episode. I'm guessing my perspective on this episode will change, but just I don't know, just coming off it, watching it. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, and it's always I did like the way that I was curious how they were going to handle the Rutherford thing. They kind of left that hanging as one of the bigger cliffhangers and bigger threads yet to weave at the end of season 1, with where his memory was going to be, how it was going to alter his personality. And I was grateful that they are embracing that and not completely. They found, I feel like, a nice mushy middle between. He's different. He's got some changes,
but not a complete reset.
He's not. Yeah, they didn't reboot the character. He doesn't forget everything. He's not like reestablishing all his old relationships, and you don't have to watch that. But there are some quirks and differences, and in true Tendi fashion, she is like maybe overly protective, and it goes a little too far, trying to reestablish her footing. And is super, again, protective of her friend, and I did like that. I thought that was a nice little storyline that felt necessary, and I really liked both of those characters.
Yeah, it feels like they're setting up some character development here. Like I'm really glad that there's some continuity, that they're not doing that complete total reset of the character. There's some similarities, there's some differences, and something that I liked. Yeah,
and I think this does show, by taking us forward 3 months and having the characters all in slightly different places, that the show does do that. These characters do move forward, and they're not stuck in quicksand. Like Mariner and Freeman, Captain Freeman, are very much sort of in flux and dealing with their whole new dynamic and have mixed feelings about where they stand with each other and on the crew. And Ransom also has some difficulties with where he fits into that. I love that. I love everything about like where Ransom is mentally, like having that like sort of jealousy about, I'm the first officer, but her daughter is like in all the important meetings and
more buddy
all the sway, and doing all the fun stuff,
yeah,
getting to call the shots. That's cool. I think that was a really neat thing to explore, and they did. I mean, I can't fault them for like not doing it. They did what they set out to do. The stuff that fell flat for me was like aesthetic stuff and the style of the humor for me. And Lower Decks has done that before for me. Like there are episodes of Lower Decks that fall a little more flat maybe for me than they do for other people, and there are other episodes of Lower Decks that I freaking love that I think are just like spot on and where the humor does land. It's like all engines are revving, and I think that's kind of the nature of the beast with a medium like this. Like you said, it's brand new. It's totally different. It's certainly unlike anything we've ever had in Star Trek before. Way bigger departure. Like we talked about Discovery feeling like a departure in a lot of ways because of the style of storytelling that has, and Picard as well. Those two shows are like perfectly recognizable compared to what Lower Decks is. Lower Decks is a cartoon. It's animated. It's a comedy, like a straight up comedy. It's very self-aware. And one of the things I do like and appreciate, I have no problem with the humor being aimed at itself. Like that, I like it embracing like the wackiness, the weirdness of Star Trek, and finding the humor in the silliness of it all. Like that's great.
I mean, yeah.
And
yeah,
what were you gonna say?
I mean, there's some silliness that ties back to TOS. I feel like.
And
I do really like that, but I don't know. It's I guess this goes back to how I feel about just the production team and the writers approaching how they're going to tell stories. I like them to take chances. I like them to maybe go to the wacky end of the spectrum like they did tonight. And sometimes those land for some people and sometimes they don't. But I think that's I feel like that's a mark of kind of 90s era Trek, is like they would go to some such far out places that I think they would some would land obviously, and then some would just be really bad. But yeah, I mean,
fall flat for other people.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've discovered in doing these, if you follow me on Twitter, I do these surveys every week now where I ask people for their 5 favorite episodes of a given season, and the clear lesson there is there's an episode for everybody. I mean, in most cases, every episode or maybe all but one get at least a couple of votes. So like you're like, there's there's nothing universal about any of this. Exactly. It's all like talking about humor being subjective. These, and going back to the 90s when Lower Decks is very similar, I think, with that, where they are embracing the episodic nature of it while still doing the character development. They can go into some really wacky territory and do very different things week to week. And what that's gonna do is it's gonna give us different flavors, different tones, and you're gonna have episodes that are super hot for person A, but might be a little less hot for person B. Every week, I think it's gonna be a little different.
Yeah. Do you feel a little bit similar to how you felt with Discovery Season 3 opener?
I mean, I feel closer to how I actually felt about the premiere of Lower Decks.
Oh, okay.
I felt like if we could revisit how I think that episode's kind of like lost to the ether, if I remember correctly. I think there was like an audio flub, even if you could find our old recording of first episode of Lower Decks. I don't think you could make heads or tails of it. But I had similar vibes from the first episode, and then I loved episode 2. And I feel like I remember with the pilot feeling like, one of the things with Lower Decks, and I think it's just a product of this brand of animation, this brand of humor, the style of this kind of show, is that it's so fast too. Like there's so much packed in to the 25 minutes, and I think it took me an episode last season to like, okay. And I think because it's the pilot or the season premiere, it's laying so much groundwork and putting so many things into motion for so many different characters that you're either going to be on the train or it's going to run you over. And I felt maybe a little run over last time, and I felt a little run over this time. I feel like that's more what I felt tonight with this than with That Hope Is You Part 1, where I felt a little more schizophrenic with highs and lows.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I will. It's a bigger conversation, but there are some season premieres of this era of Star Trek that I haven't loved, kind of across the board, with Discovery's second and third seasons and both seasons of Lower Decks. The first episodes of the season don't tend to be my favorites.
Okay.
I don't know what that means. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a weird observation.
We are actually already at the 21-minute mark. So I guess I'll give my closing thoughts, I guess. Which is, it's crazy to think, but yeah, I mean, I know we talked about a bunch of different stuff in this quick 20 minutes. Ups and downs, highs and lows. But for me, I think at the end of the day, if I'm looking at it through my see it or skip it eyes, I think there is some good stuff here. There is some necessary plot elements here that you need. And at the end of the day, it's Star Trek is a form of entertainment and art. I think it's successful. I think it's entertaining. That's just my take. But again, I'm just over the moon, ecstatic that the Trek is back on, even in this type of medium. I do really do like Lower Decks. So I'm just excited and happy.
Me too. I am thrilled it's back. I have no doubts at all that I will respond more.
It'll bounce back.
Universally positive with future episodes. I have no doubts about that because that's what happened last season, and that's what happens in every season. Really, I mean, that's the whole kind of thing with Star Trek and TV in general. Episodes and how you respond to them are going to vary. So, and I think we have a long run ahead of us with these shows.
Hopefully.
Like we said at the beginning, I think we're looking at. I don't know if it's going to be unbroken or if there's going to be little breaks, but no matter how you slice it, we got 5 shows with 53 episodes, kind of either in the can or
a big queue of episodes.
So, there's, and like I've said a couple times on like the Discord server and on our Treks After Dark. You figure back in the day in the 90s when Space Nine and Voyager would run concurrently, you get 2 26 episode seasons. That's 52 episodes in a year. And if you count up everything that's kind of in the can right now with Lower Decks, Prodigy, Strange New Worlds, Picard, Discovery, that's 53 episodes. So in this, we're getting basically the same output that we were getting back in those days, which is pretty insane.
Yeah, that's a great time to be a Star Trek fan, that's for sure.
Yep, and we're going to be here to talk about all of it. We're gonna keep it rolling with core setting, hopefully every week, in some capacity. Quick takes on these new episodes.
Yep.
And really looking forward to it.
Yeah. You guys know the drill. The discussion does not stop here. Come over to Twitter and I think Discord are 2 big spots where you can keep the discussion going. Come over to one of those outlets. Let us know your thoughts on this episode and probably future episodes. Like Bill said, we're going to be keep core setting alive here in the next however long we go. But we'll be back this weekend for an episode of Trek Live, talking about No Prep, and then hopefully next week with more core setting content. So thanks everyone for listening, and wherever you listened, thank you. We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks everybody.